The training arena of the Imperial garrison on Nexus Prime hummed with the clash of energy staffs and the grunts of soldiers pushing their limits. Eowyn stood at the edge of the sparring circle, her dark eyes fixed on the towering figure of Commander Zalthor, a Cravathi warrior whose reputation preceded him like thunder before a storm. "Your form is pathetic," Zalthor snarled at a young recruit, his forearms gesturing dismissively. "In my 300 cycles of training the Emperor's elite guards, I have never seen such incompetence." Eowyn's jaw tightened. She was only 17 standard years old, a human mechanic's apprentice who had wandered into the public training grounds during her lunch break. She shouldn't have spoken. She should have walked away. "My grandfather trained better," she said quietly. The arena fell silent. Every soldier, every alien species represented in the Emperor's forces, turned to stare at the human girl in oil-stained coveralls. Zalthor's reptilian eyes narrowed to slits. He crossed the distance between them in 3 powerful strides, his shadow engulfing her small frame. "What did you say, flesh child?" Eowyn lifted her chin, meeting his gaze without flinching. "My grandfather. He trained men better than you trained the Emperor's guards, real warriors, not parade soldiers." The backhand came so fast she barely saw it. The impact sent her sprawling across the training mat, her lips split and bleeding. Pain exploded across her cheek, but she refused to cry out. "Insolent whelp," Zalthor roared. "Your primitive species barely has space travel for 2 centuries, and you dare insult a master trainer of the Cravathi Empire? I should have you flogged for such disrespect." Eowyn pushed herself up on her elbows, tasting copper. "My grandfather trained soldiers on Earth during the Unification Wars. He turned farmers and factory workers into warriors who held the line against impossible odds. He didn't need fancy weapons or 300 years. He had 20 weeks and he made legends." Zalthor's crest flared crimson with rage. He raised his staff, and Eowyn knew this blow would do more than split her lip. "That's enough." The voice cut through the tension like a vibro blade through flesh. Every eye turned to the arena entrance where a figure stood silhouetted against the harsh Nexus sun. Ferris stepped into the training ground, and Eowyn's heart sank even as relief flooded through her. He was in his 60s now, his hair more silver than black, his mechanic's jumpsuit faded and patched, but he moved with a deliberate grace that made several of the alien soldiers unconsciously step back. "Who are you to interrupt?" Zalthor began. "Ferris Callahan," the old mechanic said simply, walking toward them with unhurried steps. "And that's my granddaughter you just struck." Recognition flickered across some of the older soldiers' faces. A Drexian captain actually saluted before catching himself. Zalthor laughed, a harsh barking sound. "The girl claims her grandfather trained warriors superior to the Emperor's men." "Are you this mythical trainer, old human?" Ferris stopped 3 meters away, his weathered hands hanging loose at his sides. "I trained men and women to fight. Whether they were superior is for history to judge. But I will say this, they knew better than to hit children. She insulted my honor." "She stated an opinion," Ferris corrected calmly. "You chose to take offense. There's a difference." Zalthor's forearms flexed, muscle rippling beneath scaled skin. "Perhaps I should teach both of you respect, mechanic. Do you even remember how to hold a weapon? Or have your hands grown soft adjusting ship engines?" Ferris glanced at Eowyn, who had pulled herself to her feet. "You okay, sweetheart?" She nodded, wiping blood from her chin. "I'm fine, Grandpa. You don't have to—" "I know," he said gently. Then to Zalthor, "No weapons. Just hands. First touch wins. Unless the great commander is afraid to face an old man without his fancy equipment." The Cravathi's honor was now truly challenged. He couldn't back down without losing face before every soldier present. He stripped off his training harness and weapon belt, handing them to a subordinate. "I will break you, human," he promised. "You're welcome to try." They circled each other in the sudden silence. Zalthor moved first, impossibly fast for his size, forearms reaching to grab and crush. But Ferris wasn't there. He had shifted left, his movement minimal but perfectly timed. Zalthor's momentum carried him past, and the old mechanic's palm touched his shoulder blade with gentle precision. "First touch," Ferris said quietly. Zalthor spun, enraged. "Lucky again." They reset. This time Zalthor came in low, trying to use his size advantage. Ferris sidestepped like water flowing around stone, his hand brushing the commander's crest as he passed. Second touch. The watching soldiers began to murmur. This wasn't luck. This was mastery. Zalthor charged with all four arms extended, abandoning technique for raw aggression. Ferris stepped inside his guard, too close for the longer arms to grab effectively, and tapped the Kravathi's chest directly over his primary heart. Third touch. We done here? Breathing hard, humiliated before his troops, Zalthor took a step back. How? You're just a mechanic.
An old human mechanic.
Ferris met his eyes with neither triumph nor mockery. I am a mechanic. I fix things for a living now. But once, yes, I trained soldiers. I taught them that the best warrior isn't the strongest or the fastest. It's the one who understands timing, distance, and that every fight is ultimately about making your opponent move to your rhythm, not theirs. He turned to help Eowyn, checking her injury with gentle hands. Your grandmother's going to kill me for letting you get hurt, he muttered. Eowyn smiled despite her swollen lip. Was it true? Everything I said about you? Some of it, Ferris admitted. The rest you embellished. You get your storytelling from your grandmother. He looked back at Zalthor. Commander, you're a skilled trainer. Your students are disciplined and precise. But discipline without adaptability is just choreography. That's what my granddaughter was trying to say before you decided to hit her instead of listen. Zalthor stood frozen, processing his defeat and the lesson within it. Finally, slowly he bowed, a gesture of respect in Kravathi culture. Perhaps, he said carefully, the Emperor's trainers could learn from human methods. If the master mechanic would consent to demonstrate, Ferris helped Eowyn toward the exit. I've got a hyperdrive to rebuild before shift ends. But ask me again tomorrow, and maybe I'll show your people what my granddaughter already knows, that humans don't need 300 years to become dangerous. We just need a good reason and someone worth fighting for. As they left the arena, Eowyn leaned against her grandfather's shoulder. Thanks, Grandpa. Always, sweetheart. Now let's get some ice on that face before your grandmother decides to demonstrate her own combat training. On me. Behind them, the alien soldiers began training again, but with less certainty and more questions than before. The old human mechanic had reminded them of something the galaxy sometimes forgot. Humanity's strength had never been in superior technology or longer lifespans. It was in the ability to make every moment count.